just to set context, today, we are having this roundtable as part of our capacity building initiatives, where we're looking at how long duration energy storage can help with the larger energy transition piece. So how we're going to structure this is it's going to be 1 hour long. Julia will talk to us, give us an overview of LDES and its technologies, and we'll have a roundtable discussion. We're happy to take questions from the audience as well, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions coming in. So we're going to give as much time as we can for that. Without any further delay, I'll call Julia upon to begin her presentation.
I'm Julia Souder. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Long Duration Energy Storage Council. We've been around for over 2 years, is really trying to promote the need for 8 terawatts of long duration storage by 2040. This is a $4 trillion marketplace in US dollars, and that's really a conservative number because it really focuses just on the power. We also promote the 4 different types of long duration storage. So we like to talk about the different durations, 8-hour plus, 12 hours, 24 hours, 100 hours, seasonal. And so we have that power, heat, and hydrogen nexus. That's why we have a strong relationship with Green Hydrogen Organization, because we work together, and hydrogen is also long duration energy storage. So what our LDES Council, what we do is we are a membership organization promoting the entire ecosystem of long duration storage. So we have members that represent different technologies that provide different types of batteries: zinc, vanadium, iron, magnesium, calcium, all the elements on the periodic table, lithium. But we also have members that do traditional pumped hydro, but new types of gravity with energy blocks and underground, compressed air, liquid air. We represent companies that are building electrolyzers and green hydrogen, and we represent companies that are also working on thermal energy storage. And I can speak a little bit more to this on the rocks, the salts, the recycled aluminum, cement, because we want to make sure that every sector, whether it's agriculture, industry, hospitals, ports, transportation, all have the elements to provide renewable energy 24/7. And so what we've been working on with this membership, in addition to technologies, we have companies that provide the equipment manufacturing, the utilities, financiers, integrators, developers. So they all work on again, every element of the ecosystem. As you all know, there's a flexibility gap with so many renewables coming online. If there's excess solar or wind, you have to curtail it today. And we see this happening in many different utilities around the world. And so the need for long duration energy storage has become really evident just in the last 2 years. And as this need has increased, the costs have come down dramatically. And so we've been showing through the reports on our website how much costs have come down, the different types of rounds of efficiencies and different cost equations. So we're really trying to de-risk the transition. And in addition to the work that we're doing on the cost, there's also savings. So when we look at the entire world economy, looking at $500 billion being saved every year when you bring long duration storage in. And for each state within India, we can also show different savings and kind of what the different types of technologies and stores can provide. And so the other aspect too is that we've been working with residential groups, with corporations, with utility scale, because we want to increase emissions at the same time. And so we're really trying to bring down the emissions of a lot of the coal plants, the manufacturing plants, and we were able to provide replacements for gas plants too. And so many of our members have deployed projects around the world that's replacing traditional fossil fuels. We're also working on different types of case studies. So we have long duration energy storage that's deployed in mining industry. Not only are the mines like Rio Tinto mining the minerals, but they're also using long duration energy storage to provide industrial heat. We also are working with various food processing companies and chemical companies that need to have renewable energy and different types of heat, thermal energy storage from 100 degrees Celsius to 1500 degrees Celsius. And we've been working with cement and steel companies on also providing long duration energy storage with renewable energy. And just started to work more with the data centers that are popping up around the world because of artificial intelligence and so much more, that they really want to have on-site long duration energy storage. We have some projects that have also worked as a transmission as a storage asset, or storage as a transmission asset. So we were able to help with curtailment and congestion on various grid applications. There are a couple of business cases wanted to share where we've had thermal energy storage provide green steam, district heating for a lot of the cooling and heat, aluminum refinery, and off-grid greenhouses. So a lot of work in agriculture. As what I've been learning a lot is about the agriculture times no longer want to be at the evening and really want to use some of the sun during the day for water pumping, and how long duration energy storage can also help in the mitigation there. And then also, we've been working on various policies with different countries on long-term market signals, energy storage targets specifically for duration. We've been working on sandboxes for different pilot projects. So working with various utilities on bringing different types of diverse long-duration energy storage to different marketplaces. And we've been working on 24/7 clean power purchase agreements, so different types of PPAs that can go from 10 to 25 years on different types of hourly matching. And we've also been working on different types of standards and market rules that really help bring forward the benefits of the ancillary services that long duration can provide. So load following, frequency response, black start capability. In many markets today, a lot of these additional services aren't given credit, but when they are able to participate in the market, the costs come down dramatically. It's fabulous to see that, the tenders that have already come out on storage and the important role that short duration is playing. And we want to build upon that and show that there is cost competitive examples with long duration storage to be at the 4 rupees of, per kilowatt hour that we can match in a variety of technologies. What also is fascinating is that in Chile, for example, they've changed the constitution and called out long duration storage to help with curtailment. We've seen in the United States, there's a lot of public-private partnerships, and a lot of utilities are starting to deploy a lot more pilot projects. In Spain, they've increased their need for thermal energy storage and called out additional procurement targets. And the World Bank is continuing to give funding for long duration storage, different types of batteries. And then we just continue to see work in Australia and other parts of the world. And that's kind of just high level aspect. On our website, we have a lot of information on industrial components and we can share these reports with all of you, but really look forward to working with you and having a lot of questions and dialogue about the role long duration energy storage plays in meeting decarbonization goals, helping local economies and meet reliability needs.
Thanks, Julia. I think, this, we want to ask questions and have this, as a two-way interaction. And if you look globally, not every country has a long duration energy storage policy, right? More countries have green hydrogen policies than they talk about long duration energy storage. And it becomes a very important component of energy transition and how we reach our net zero goals. So, in India, the government here in Gujarat and also the MNRE, they've been, making inquiries on how this can play a role in what we're doing. But for all of you all on the call, this is Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu, IAS, who is the managing director of GPCL. And they've also been very interested to see how, an emerging technology and all of the LDES technologies that are, emerging across the world can play a role in in all the projects that they are undertaking. But Arun sir, if you'd like to, say a few words to everybody who's here.
So this is Arun here. I'm the managing director of GPCL. We welcome all of you delegates who are participating today on the hybrid mode. Welcome one and all who is physically present here and who tried to make it for this wonderful occasion. And those who couldn't make it and who are happy joining us online, we welcome you too. I think we had a round of introduction of those team members here. Without further delay, I would request, Shant, you can just brief of what you intend to do today.
How I'd like to start these discussions is if anyone on the table came up with any questions today, right? When you saw LDES and GH2, what were you thinking and what were you expecting out of this conversation? Yes, sir.
As a prefect mark from General Manager, NHPC. NHPC is at present undertaking 3 pilot projects in the field of green hydrogen. And as per our experience in these pilot projects, because they are small scale projects, but green hydrogen is very costly. And do you think green hydrogen will play an important role in energy storage?
Yes, green hydrogen does play a really important role, but we also see it because we want some of the costs to come down and it needs to be deployed over time. The great thing is that from all the lessons learned we share with each other, green hydrogen is being deployed as electrolyzers in many countries at some cost points today with a lot of investment, but there's also different types of long duration energy storage that are a little bit more inexpensive and that are being deployed in different parts of the world. And so there are options that are available to you to keep going on green hydrogen, but also to keep that there's different LDES technologies that are available today.
I think that question on pricing, green hydrogen is expensive today. We all agree and we all know that. But why is everyone committing towards green hydrogen? That's the next question, right? You're very well aware it's expensive, but why is NHPC doing green hydrogen?
Yeah.
So
it's a new technology.
yes,
And every company wants to make some investment in new technology because we don't know whether it will be viable or not viable. But we don't want to be too far behind.
right. You don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think it's the case with a lot of them, right? They don't want to be left behind. They want to know what's happening. So with green hydrogen, even GPCL is doing some projects and they're interested in exploring the sector. Green hydrogen for India is important, right? That's the question we all need to ask. Because today, when you see across the globe, India has the cheapest power that's available, right? And if you look at global offtakes that are being signed for green hydrogen projects, Indian companies are on the top, right? We have more than 3 or 4 Indian companies that are able to sign long-term binding offtake agreements. So this shows that the green hydrogen projects that are being developed in India are of world class and a good standard, and it's economical, right? And people have the trust. So for us, it has a few reasons why green hydrogen is necessary for India. Number one is that energy security, right? Because most of our hydrogen consumption is in fertilizers and refining, and we're importing the natural gas. So we need to offset that. Number two, it helps our current account reserves, right? And we're buying all of this natural gas and petroleum with dollars, right? So today it's $80 billion, and by 2030 it's supposed to go up to 160 to 180 billion dollars. So that's the amount of savings we have, and we are very ideally located. We have a good solar profile, we have great renewable energy assets, and green hydrogen, if done at scale, can actually come down in cost.
I think the fact of the matter today, we have called Julia for discussing about long duration storage is because the common parlance, the discussion is always about lithium-ion batteries, which have say 3 to 4 hours of storage, and that is like a common discussion point amongst all the companies. So having said that, GPCL has been designated by the Energy Department as the nodal for energy storage. So that's when we all now is the right juncture when we are talking about peak hour tariff, storage systems, peak hour tariff, how to leverage storage systems and how to leverage the price. And when you're talking about huge scale green hydrogen projects, you all know that it is costly. Until the green hydrogen ecosystem is ready on ground, there will be a lot of developers who will be developing renewable energy sources. And renewable energy sources will be able to produce power during that 8-hour period, during the solar radiation time. What about wind? So wind is going to be the hybrid method of compensating along with solar and also producing more energy so that we are able to produce a little bit more energy than the solar hours. Now, having combined this solar as well as wind, again, we are not able to achieve 24 hours of continuous energy supply. So when we are talking about RTC, round the clock energy, we are talking about, say, 10 to 12 hours of energy production by mixing up solar as well as wind. And what about the rest of the hours? So where do we do it? So we store the energy and then we evacuate into the to the transmission systems or directly to the distribution systems, wherein long-term energy storage ranging from 4 hours to 8 hours. And there are discussion stages where they claim that they can store till 12 hours in terms of thermal storage or something else. So that is where we all need to look at long duration energy sources. And today we are at the juncture that long duration storage has to be brought in if you're talking about round the clock supply of energy. Now, India being an energy guzzler, I think we are the third biggest energy guzzler in the world right now, and we aim to have about 450 gigawatts of installed capacity of renewable energy by, say, 2047. So out of which in Gujarat scenario, we have about 40 gigawatts of installed capacity, 44 gigawatts of installed capacity, out of which, say, close to 50% is renewable energy. So now this renewable energy, we're not able to evacuate this power 24/7 or not being able to utilize, wherein at that peak hour, we are buying it from the exchange, or we are asking the private developers also to supply power to us. So I think that is the necessity of today's meeting. And that is where we have got one of the leaders in energy storage systems. So Julia represents LDES, which is a Long Duration Energy Storage Council. So I think without further delay, we should hear to you, and we are well made aware of the latest technologies. So it will be across exchangeable information systems, but I would say that most of the time you should be utilizing to explain what you are here for. And later on, we can go in for a discussions on that. Yeah. So over to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Arun, and thank you again. So as I was mentioning earlier, there are different technologies of long duration energy storage and different needs, but to address the round the clock power is critical for local economies and for businesses. So there are different types of companies that have already started deploying long duration energy storage to meet these needs. So we're seeing that some of the data centers in different parts of the world have brought in long duration storage, mostly on the electrochemical side, to provide kind of those gap services to add to their portfolio. But what they're realizing is that they need to go past the 8 and 12 hour. So they're looking at bringing in thermal energy storage paired with electrochemical to provide either heat or cooling. We've also seen, as I mentioned, some of the fertilizer companies and some of the different types of companies with agriculture that are using off-grid resources. So using the steam from thermal energy storage to provide constant power and heat to the agriculture pieces. To back up some of the pumping, the agricultural needs, to make sure that that is also continual, we've been using different types of gravity storage in different parts of the world too. So there are new technologies that build on the existing pumped hydro. Whether, for example, next to geothermal plant, there's an additional port and kind of tank that will pull up air or water or even hold carbon. We have deployed projects in many parts of the world that use carbon, just holding it, and then using a turbine system just to release power or heat when you need it. And it's very inexpensive, just again, using existing tools, but just repurposing how much you could store the heat or power for. And then the mining industry is also being able to address their scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. And so this has also been really helpful to lower CapEx costs. And this is also a huge part of the savings. So one of the biggest takeaways is that long duration energy storage is deployed today, but it's in like small pieces around the world. We're looking to help bring down costs even more as we scale up around the world too, because of these diverse components that are there. So it's really critical to know that to meet many of the reliability needs and security needs, there are options there. So I think it really depends on which parts of Gujarat and other states are looking for different types of technology. And we've done some reports on our website about net zero heat, thinking net zero power, and looking at different industrial zones. We've been working with GIZ in South Africa, for example, where there's an industrial zone where they're building a lot more solar and using a lot of heat and power for the industries that are there. And they are looking at different types of long duration energy storage to provide various needs to their customers. So that's an example. And I saw there's a question to that.
Rolf, you can unmute yourself and speak. Rohan, can you?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you. I'll just make it quick. So I think the secretary has said what I wanted to say, that I think that the long duration power is really important because renewable just works during the day. So how do we bridge the nighttime gap? So the 12-hour power is especially for India extremely important. I was hoping to learn more how to do it. So you've already made some hints. So thank you with thermal power.
Sure. Some of the other technologies can do that too. It really kind of depends on what the local power is. If you're using more solar, there are some technologies in long duration storage that a lot of electrochemical that work well. There's with offshore wind, there can be a lot of the mechanical storage, and compressed air can hold it for more hours or days. I mean, we're able to hold renewable energy for days, weeks, months, and even seasons. You can capture the sun or the wind in the summer and use it for heating and cooling in the winter with very little 1 or 2% degradation and high levels of efficiency. So you have this capability to hold power and heat over a long period of time, and that provides this value and cost savings. But this is happening around the world. There are projects deployed again that's helping meet these needs.
Thank you.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Long duration storage is required. There's no doubt about it. Because the way we are doing for cleaning our energy ecosystem, the fact that renewable energy is not ready for
Right.
7 and the technology is also available for storage. It's not that there is a new technology. There is battery storage available, hydrogen is available. The fact, so what is important for decision making is what is the cost of that? How does that storage, each of these storages are compared if we compare on the basis of the cost per kilowatt hour? I know that would vary from region to region, but if you can give some idea in Indian context or maybe in global context, what is the cost comparison? Because what do we understand? And
Right.
I mean, is or the grade from 21. Probably the battery storage scores over other storage as far as the cost is concerned uh, on a general. But if we take other storage forms, how does that compare with the battery storage?
It's a great question because it's about economics and reliability. And so what we've been studying are the diverse types of long duration storage. Last year, the numbers were around $100 a megawatt hour for kind of looking at long duration storage. But then when you start looking at the cost for thermal energy storage, they're under $50 a megawatt hour, just because the resources are so inexpensive. There are some new innovations regarding carbon that have even brought down some prices even more. It's also with electrochemical, we're seeing that the density, you don't have to build 50 containers of electrochemical. You can have 5 and you can get, just the increasing capacity because there's so much density. The costs are also coming down because, there is the ancillary services pieces. One of the biggest market barriers is the fact that long duration storage can provide all these additional benefits, but it's not giving those attributes. So long duration storage can provide black start capability, load following, frequency response. It does this, peak shaving. It shifts the energy to fill in all the gaps. And so that's a huge amount of savings because you're not ramping up and down. You have that dispatchable power and heat that is needed for reliability. As we're starting to see the market criteria change, this is also giving more opportunities for the cost to come down. So we're looking at different market changes. We're looking at different types of PPA contracts. I'd mentioned the different kind of every hourly accounting that long duration storage can actually prove this. And it's also helping with various whether it's tax credits or it's also helping with carbon accounting. So many of the global corporations are looking at how this offsets their scope 1, 2, and even 3, one of the hardest to abate sectors. So they're seeing also these additional benefits that are coming from decreased emissions, also repurposing of gas use. Some of the thermal energy stores can capture the methane or different types of natural gas and then use it for heat. And then there's an offset credit there too. Some of the offtake agreements are looking at different types of credit schemes that also bring down costs and repurposing. Many of these companies have circularity, so they have 100% recyclability. They might be using scraps from iron or other areas. There also are credits there too that also help bring down costs.
Can I? You mean to say that suppose we implement long duration storage systems and we are able to produce dispatchable power at a peak time or probably a time when our solar energy part is down, or probably the wind energy part is down. We suppose store the energy in your energy systems and we dispatch it. You mean to say they become eligible for carbon credits also?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, so that is from the exchange or is it from specific corporations?
It depends because there are rules to make sure not double counting. But if there is a possibility to get some
And
global
this credit is going to be on cloud or is it going to be in terms of financials?
It depends on the contract. I mean, we've seen it on both ways. So it really depends on what local needs are. It's your preference.
Okay.
And you have the power to set these criteria and standards now.
So, but there is no legal framework on this right now.
We are piggybacking on existing legal frameworks for other recs.
Does the European Union or the United States have something on this?
So what's interesting is that something that just came out is Microsoft, Google, and Nucor have put together a new type of framework for PPA, which brings in their existing rec credits. So they are looking at this. There's a new type of tariff that has been introduced both in Europe and the United States called a clean tariff. And this also adds some additional.
I'm talking about the federal governments.
No.
No.
There hasn't been any regulation yet. It's almost
But
voluntary.
you think it's the time to think on this?
Yes, very much so. And your leadership on this could guide other nations.
Okay. You mean to say none of the federal government has a policy on long duration energy storage or offsetting long duration energy storage into the carbon credits or probably offsetting the cost in terms of the higher cost of purchase.
Right. It's more of one-on-one contracts now with
We
more than
recently had this California Energy Commission here.
Yes.
Even they do not have systems. So they were looking at this kind of policies. But I was wondering, not even the Scandinavian countries? No.
There's a new voucher program that has been introduced that has elements of this, especially from the U.S. Department of Energy. But we're working with the European Union on what this looks like for what they would look at.
Do you think it's time to, put our hands together to form a framework, think on these lines?
We would do that, and
Well,
also
it will be setting an example.
Yeah.
If we can do that. It's only because there are bigger sectors that need more regulations in the carbon market. That's why because now how much LDES is being deployed in India, especially on the grid, on transmission for you to spend time and define the credits that are going in where you have larger markets and larger credits that are not getting fair value in the international market, right? So, but I think we can, this is a conversation we're having. I think Rolf,
Okay,
I think
before I go to that, I just want to add two more things, and this might hopefully build on your question too, Ralph, is that one, the Green Hydrogen Organization and the Long Duration Energy Storage Council are founding members of the Global Renewable Alliance. So solar, wind, hydropower, geothermal, green hydrogen, and long duration energy storage work together. This framework for REX and for this overarching element can be something that we all take on, but we need utilities and countries to step up and help work with us and advocates to do this. So that is something that we can take back and coordinate on through our MOUs. The second part is on your point of, what was the second point on this?
Having a framework and mechanism.
Yes, and with the California Energy Commission and some of the banks, the existing market structures that promote long duration. So California, New York, Texas, and the United States have long duration energy storage targets. Australia, both New South Wales, Victoria have specific long duration energy storage targets. So does Ontario. Chile does, Spain, Italy's working on it in the UK. Where we've seen these targets, it's already started markets. So, but they're different markets because it depends on each country. The United Kingdom has a cap and floor that they're working on and seeing what this works. Some of them, because of the different durations, we want to make sure the cap and floor don't limit to too short durations or too long. So we need that flexibility. In Australia, we've been working on a capacity investment scheme on phasing different types, making sure we've got the timing right. And then we've also seen what's happening in Chile with the curtailment incentives and their market there, and also different areas. So there are different markets being set up around the world to bring in long duration energy storage.
Hello.
And it's not one size fits all. It's knowing that you need those targets that then open up new markets. But it's working with what each utility needs to meet your needs of how we can make sure the criteria is flexible enough for that dispatchability that we can provide.
These targets are based on any obligations, or is it just a voluntary target?
No, these are obligations. These are set. These are actually
on what basis? What is the basis of those obligations?
So because they've already set renewable energy storage targets, that they know that they need energy storage targets.
to balance the target, right? We have
No. My point is suppose like we talk about, we have a protocol for a Kyoto protocol or a reduction protocol, like a Paris agreement, or
Right.
like which is the obligation that mandates you to engage with long duration storage.
I would definitely say it's the Paris Accord.
Okay.
That is part of it. Which then now there's the global 11 terawatts of renewable energy that's mandated. And now we hope to see a global energy storage target that will be the umbrella for each country to set their
So
own.
we need to think about whether India is a party to that agreement, first of all.
India,
If so, then yes, we should think on
Yeah.
those lines.
Yeah.
And I'm sure India must be, I'm not sure. Check on that. India is?
Yeah.
India is a party to the agreement. So in that case, we should start thinking on these lines. Probably Gujarat could be a leader in
Yes.
this.
Yes, sir, definitely. I think when you generally set your renewable energy targets, you need to come up with your storage targets because it has to complement, your larger targets. Before Rolf, I think before everything, this gentleman asked us the price, and you didn't get a price from Julia.
I did.
You said $50 per.
It depends again on the technology.
So it translates to 4 rupees to 5 rupees. Stealing in the Indian. So it can come as close as BES, right?
Yeah.
So that's where that really got my attention because we just assume that it should be at 10 rupees or 12 rupees, right? But there is examples of LDES technologies coming at 4 rupees, and that's at small scale. So if we can actually have larger scale, then we can even do it, in par with BES or.
But it depends on the contract. As I mentioned, these are assets that are 20-year plus. So that also helps bring the cost down over time. And the fact that you've got these different elements, when they can access the market in a variety of ways and have different revenue streams, then that also helps, minimize the cost.
So when you said $50 per kilowatt hour, you mean
Megawatt
not
hour.
to a
Megawatt. Megawatt.
That's
Megawatt.
Mhm.
No, I'm saying, is it with reference to a particular type of storage?
Yes. So in our benchmarking reports, we highlight the different types of thermal energy storage. And you can kind of see what thermal energy storage is doing, what mechanical. So we definitely have different price points for each area. I think the electrochemical is probably the highest right now still.
Just you were talking about this thermal energy storage. Can you just, explain how it works?
Sure, and I can follow up with some of our reports in the graphic. So there's different types of thermal energy storage. I think one that we were speaking about earlier is that you have existing concentrated solar power and you tie in thermal energy storage. One could be molten salts. So you take the heat But the solar panel, and you use it to heat up the salt, and you can hold that as heat for hours and even days. And then when you want to transfer that heat, you can transfer it straight into an energy system, or you can actually convert it into electricity and power. There's a different price point for that. It's cheaper to do the heat, but it depends on the different markets. So that's one type. We have other technologies that you can do the same type of thinking with rocks, with bricks, with volcanic crush rods, and they use either kind of patented technologies with it's usually a copper kind of cord inside, or different types of mechanisms to heat up and store the electricity over time. And most of these are all deployed in different types of containers, so you can have the same shipping container go to different areas, whether it's electrochemical or thermal. We also have, in addition to this solar pipe, you've got, that can take, some of the companies will take the waste heat from an existing plant, capture that waste heat, and use it as stored heat, and then repurpose it back into the system to the infrastructure and different CII applications. Another piece for the agriculture and off-grid, say greenhouses that are working on various foods or plants, they'll take from solar, from renewable power, and then create it as steam for the area. They'll capture that steam and then repurpose it too again. So there's a whole circular aspect. There's lots of different types of new thermal energy storage that are coming to the market to work on this. They either use traditional turbines, they use the bricks. It's just pretty much just heating up, storing, and putting it back out. Very simple processes, really. And then there's three different types of thermal energy storage. There's the latent, there's the thermochemical, which is the hardest, and then there's the systemic, the different, it's the heating and cooling piece of this element. And some thermal energy storage technologies can only go up to maybe 200 degrees Celsius, but some can go up to 2000 degrees Celsius. It depends on their chemistries.
Why was it not becoming popular, although this technology was evident from the 1980s?
Cost and awareness. I mean, costs have recently come down dramatically because there's now the broader need. Now we see the applications for all these different industries. Beforehand, it was maybe thought about just with CSP, but now they're seeing that this actually provides the heat and steam, district heating, using this as thermal energy storage in existing infrastructure, existing pipes, your storage units. And so it's repurposing it, capturing that gas and reusing it. And so it's really the translation of the knowledge coming out from the labs and the universities around the world, and also just the fact that this is applicable. In
just to address you, sorry. We are in a discussion phase with, for the thermal storage. So the cost is 3 times more than, so we were planning to do something of a 500 megawatt park. So the cost is 3 times of a regular solar park. And the storage is in terms of, say, graphite or molten salt. So that is also going to be a challenge. But say, more graphite is available, molten salt is available, but the mirror systems which you need to erect for a CSP, it's 3 times more costly than a regular bifacial solar park.
And one part that's changed too dramatically is that you have investors like Bill Gates, who's invested in 10 different companies in a range of all the different types. Just in the last 10 years, the costs have been cut because it's been grant funding, it's been public-private financing. There have been a lot of banks that are starting to step in. And now, finally, warranties and insurance companies are coming in and de-risking this. So that's also demonstrating why the prices are coming down, is that actually this is part of portfolio to de-risk, and that's also helping in some of the savings. If this would have been happening 2 years ago, it would have been even cheaper because of interest rates. But because interest rates are still high, there is that kind of play point in the marketplace. But again, the market criteria and the market access are opening this up for more competition.
There are 2 questions from me. First question, I think this. If you consider the Indian context, most of the Indian developers are targeting for the export. At least for the maybe initial 4 or 5 years. So there are a lot of activities going on the domestic demand increase, but still at least 4 or 5 years targeting for the export, and mostly for the European countries. Considering its economics as well as this restriction in resources in the European countries. Either it is European countries or it will be Japan, Korea. That is a very easy target. What everybody is targeting mostly, right? But but if you you are talking from the perspective of LDES, I'm agreeing to that. But if you are talking about the regulatory aspect, especially in the RED 3 directive, which has come up, and it is talking about the monthly settlement, right? Usage of renewable in the monthly basis, right? And it is very soon. We are not very sure. Maybe in the another 5 years, it is going to be getting revised to even be either a daily or it is even hourly. Most likely, we are expecting that it has to be a hourly basis, right? So in this context, how do you think that, elders will help, and how this challenge is getting mitigated? So the point is that, so you cannot think of anything on the upstream side. Only we have to think of anything on the downstream side. Maybe the hydrogen storage, maybe the option, because renewable power, whatever we are generating, it has to be settled on the, as on now, it is a monthly basis, right? So how how this elders is looking into this challenge, and how you are giving the solutions. Okay, that is the first point. And second question, of course, okay, elders, it is all, everyone is, whoever is signing the contract, it is mostly based on the carbon emission coming out of that project. It is a well to wake or get to cradle concept, whatever it is. It is either in India or it is in Europe or US, everywhere it is. They are talking about the carbon intensity coming out of this project, right? So in this, of course, this elders is, I'm not very sure it is fully carbon emission free. We cannot say like that, right? So how this is getting accounted in that, and which is actually going the negative side, right? So how these challenges are, getting captured in your maybe analysis or whatever it is.
So on the first point on upstream and downstream, we've been working on long-term planning with a lot of utilities to look at what's deployable today, but also what's going to work 5, 10, 20 years from now and different options. So we're working on different modeling inputs with the International Energy Administration and with IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Association. We've been looking at updating the levelized cost of energy, levelized cost of storage, and levelized cost of heat numbers. Because right now, they don't do justice. And even IEA and IRENA know that the numbers the modeling needs to change. So this will also really help some of the regulators see, oh, there is a need, and now I have even additional information on this. So that's why IEA and IRENA have stood up and said we need this global energy storage target to help us with really justifying the need and providing that. It's not just downstream, it's also upstream too, because even the manufacturing, all these other pieces does to kind of build every step of the way. So the modeling is something that we've been really working on to kind of update. So you can even see additional benefits. On the second question on carbon and just how much even some of these companies use in carbon, it's something that is part of many of these trying to demonstrate that the plants meet ESG goals. They've really kind of set out that they're really trying to be carbon negative. They're not all there, but they're working on it. I know some of the companies are really helping. Their goal is to decrease emissions for their customers. So for the industrial plants, for the manufacturing, for different areas, that's how they're really showing that they're doing all that saving because they're decreasing emissions.
I think Ralph is there online for a long time. He's been raising his hand. I think somebody from Reliance also, I guess. Somewhere, why don't you, keep it open so that, they are able to.
Are there LDES installed on merchant basis, or they are all installed by the utilities only?
It depends on where you are in the world. There are merchant LDES products that
And within this technology, today is it only the redox flow batteries that are running the show, or in the merchant base model, or they are also onto the thermal this thing?
Depends
Because
on what you can fund.
Yeah, and what type of partnerships are at the table. So some of the Australian companies have been around for over 10 years and they've had over 200 products deployed on zinc. And so they're smaller, but most of those are with merchants and off-grid in distribution centers. The work that they're doing now, actually with the California Energy Commission, has helped fund many of these projects to now scale to get to the 100 megawatts, to get to the 1 gigawatt hour kind of range of thermal storage. So we've also had members sign contracts with utilities in Europe, like Enel has signed with different thermal energy storage to help provide to grid stability. And then we've also had members work with a paper plant, so it'll be off grid. So it really kind of depends. Some of the data centers either are doing off grid or they want to be attached to the grid so they can sell back the excess power that they are able to make money from.
secondly, in India, Indian renewable plants is so big. Why aren't the international players still having their manufacturing LDS manufacturing facilities in India? None of the players have got any setup in India. Why? Because looking towards 3, 4, 5 years, India will be.
I think that's exactly why she's here. That's why she's here.
It is exactly. I'm here to help see where we can start working in partnerships to see which companies you want to have that are going to be India run, India owned, India led. because they want to be here. They know how important this market is. India is leading with renewable energy build out faster than anywhere else in the world. And the world is taking notice. And we know how important it is. And we've been hearing from all of you that you want to have long duration storage. So now it's understanding what's available, what works for every state. So really, this is just the beginning of more dialogue so that many of these companies can, address India's need and become India owned.
For that matter, even sorry to interrupt.
No.
For the Khavda Park also, I'm sure Adani team had visited that Modera Park. It's on a small scale. But you see, your park is not going to be viable unless you're not going to use from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. Your 12-hour gap is going to be just there. Either your wind turbine runs. If it doesn't run, then your solar is not working. So you need battery backup. If it's Adani or Reliance or NTPC or NHPC, which is also part of the bid now. So you need solutions, you need battery energy storages. Now you need to think which is the best technology, which is the cheapest technology, or which is going to provide you long duration storage. So that is why this is the right scenario we thought we'll bring them up. And so for your question, I think it is the right time they're here, and I think we should facilitate that. Under the Make in India model, it could be a transfer of technology. We do it here, or it could be a direct foreign investment. It could be either ways. See, for example, in Gujarat's case, we've got 3-4 big companies, like I think Exide is come up one in Kheda. Tata battery energy storage is coming. Tata is coming up. I think Reliance is planning in Jamnagar. I think Adani is planning something. So they're all planning something.
They're all on lithium. But
Yes.
they're
Of
all
course.
on lithium.
Of course.
The first target will be the mobility.
You know why lithium? Because the alternate technology is not available, or it has not been propagated in a proper forum. So I think that is why this forum is required. So now you have an option to think. Should we go only for lithium, or do we go for zinc or vanadium or thermal storage or molten storage? So we give you options. You decide.
And we support short duration. We need lithium ion. We're not against it. We even have some companies that are lithium ion that are building, and trying to get past how expensive lithium ion can be at 8 and 10 hours. But we're just showing that there's diversity. And I don't have a favorite child. I appreciate all of them because we need to see the different technologies.
And the problem with lithium ion is the market is dominated by very, very few particular stakeholders.
And
Because of
security.
those energy security issues and also safety issues,
Exactly.
some of the other LDES alternatives can, provide a good solution, right? And they are cost competitive. But why aren't we talking? Is we need to set out the signs first. First sign is to have policy and regulation. That's a sign of intent. The next is having targets, right? Targets in investments or targets in deployment. Now that will attract more companies to come into the country, come into the state, and start working together.
It gives us certainty.
The challenge for any investor today is there are too many technologies on the elder side. He is not yet able to finalize which is, and many of them are just within the labs or moving out of the lab.
That's what we're trying to show you is that we're
So
past that
how
point.
an investor or can decide that this is the best that I can do? Because any investment is 25 years. This is a investment that will have a significant technology risk.
Right.
There are factors of cost, initial cost. Second, there is a factor of efficiency. Tomorrow, if someone comes with a cheaper thing, I have invested over here, and someone comes with a cheaper.
So I will send to all of you, we have a tech lookbook that gives you kind of a 1-page highlight of all these different companies and their different specs. Because you'll see some that are newer that will be really beneficial in 5 to 10 years, and some that have already shown their value today. And you can choose from the criteria you need to look at what's going to work for your needs. But there are technologies that have already been deployed, sitting in the markets, providing value for long duration energy storage.
Do they bring in a technology demonstration in India?
We would be more than happy.
If few of them are the good wines, say for ESS or anyone, like ESS is there for iron flow or Venoni, if they have got a containers or 1 or 2 containers, we take out the technology and the confidence level that is.
And World
Then-
Bank
then-
and GIZ have been doing that in different countries too, in partnership with us and
Yeah.
our members.
And that's one of our asks next week to the MNRE as well, because the IRA has allocated $350 million for demonstration projects for LDES technologies. And now I think it's a sign of intent from the IRA, right? Now the next is our turn to do something like this to promote LDES technologies. But I know there's somebody with your hands up on the call.
Yeah.
If you'd like to come in. Hand up, mystery. Okay, if you but I see Surbi is on the call. Surbi, would you be able to come online, please?
Well, while we're waiting, just to give you some more detail too. So the European Investment Bank has given some money towards both some newer technologies that have only been out for a couple years to help them scale. And they've also helped really kind of take some of these companies that have been out in the marketplace, become commercialized and give them gigawatt factories. Same in the United States. The US Department of Energy helped fund 11 new projects. 2 of them were with military institutions. And actually one of those was won by an Australian company. So that to really kind of demonstrate, again, the scale of all this. It's both in thermal, mechanical, and electrochemical have all been given awards. So it's hundreds of millions of dollars for each one of these companies that have been given money to scale, and it's billions of dollars from the U.S. government and European Union. I mean, it's $4 billion US just last year that was invested in long-duration energy storage technologies, and we're already seeing that number going to double this year.
So, as we understand that all kind of technology is going to stay for this long duration. We'll be using pumped storage also, battery also. So, are we taking some studies since India is a vast country? For which part of the India which is going to be the best configuration to optimize the cost?
That is a great question that we look forward to working with utilities here in our MOUs to kind of see how do we share data and information to create the right scenarios for different states that might need different things. So we'd love to work with various funders and foundations on the phone to look at this, because India has been building so much renewable energy so fast. The need for long duration energy storage is becoming faster here than many other countries in the world. And so this is a perfect time to work on these studies to do additional scenarios. So we would like to work with the parties involved to bring more of this information forward. And that's part of the MOUs, is just how much more can we share information to help each other out.
Hi there, can you hear us, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, GPCL, for conducting and bringing this all together. I'd like to ask one question to Julia. What we are facing right now is seeing the parity between RTE power sources and solar sources, solar vanilla, is that we are unable to find the parity of intermittency, the value of intermittency right now. We see that the powers around the trip power that is trying to come up is at a price level that looks quite unaffordable to us, but there are many grid services and grid balancing services which are right now.
Yeah.
My computer.
Sorry, the last point of your question, I didn't hear it.
Yes. The issue that we are facing right now is that the feasibility of round-the-clock energy comes in when we try to see their prices vis-a-vis the vanilla, solar and wind, is where we are unable to find the feasibility of intermittency, the price of intermittency to be exact, and pricing them at a value which can justify this such kind of round-the-clock energy is quite important for us. Various studies have been conducted, and they come up with the cost of ancillary services around 10 or 9 rupees, and sometimes the grid support prices go even beyond 12 and 13 rupees per unit also. So we need help in trying to conduct such kind of surveys which can give us a parity about these kind of technologies. And also, where do you see specifically asking for solar thermal energy? How can it provide such kind of support, and what will be the feasibility down the line, say 10 years or 5 years?
That was a great question. So on the parity question of looking at the 10 to 20 rupees for the various studies you've looked at, again, this goes to the modeling, so that we can, share additional information from our benchmarking, and you can kind of see the range there on the feasibility for the solar thermal. We have members that have been, providing updates to Australia, United States on solar thermal energy storage capacity aspects. So I'm thinking of, and I'll start naming names so you can see this, but like MGA Thermal, Ecogen, these are the thermal energy storage companies. Ecogen's been on the market. We've got 11 companies around the world that are actually in the stock exchanges that are, that are already listed. Yeah, they're listed. Whether it's Australia, Israel, Europe, and the United States, those are where they're. To be honest, their stock prices are under like $5. tell US dollars.
It's a good time for you.
I can't buy any of them, but it's still very small because again, the value is not fully understood. And it's just now that this is starting to become an awareness that one, these technologies are available, two, that there's new innovative technologies to build from, and that three, the need because so much renewable energy is being deployed. This is a game changer. I mean, what we saw develop in solar in 10 years to bring prices down, we've already seen around the world. This is 5 years for storage. And thanks to lithium ion really kind of bringing this. And now we're building on that momentum and we're seeing the cost come down even faster for long duration storage. So I think it also depends to your point of, some of these minerals are more expensive than others. Some have different, constructions on their PPAs. But we're seeing a lot of blended financing. So not just two partners involved, but 3 or 4 partners are coming in to own some of the assets or own some of the offtake, which is also helping lower costs because it's kind of de-risking. So these blended financing aspects are bringing down the green premium that a lot of people are paying for. So we're trying to get rid of the green premium and bring more cost savings in. But so when I send the tech lookbook around that has a lot of this information, please look at this and then let's follow up on additional dialogue to see what other questions there will be, which I look forward to.
Thank you.
And one thing that I don't know if there's the representative from the World Bank on, but last year we worked with the World Bank and they did a great job on a hybrid PPA to really show again the different attributes from energy storage of how you can bring this into various situations. And a lot of the island nations are using this to kind of already replace their backup diesel generators. And it's a huge cost savings because the cost of fuel is so high that long duration energy storage is already providing a value add to them. And they're using that hybrid PPA. It can be either a 24/7 or a different carbon-free, kind of accounting. But there is again these tools that we're using in a creative way to help add to the value out of long duration.
We have access to that.
Yeah, and I hope the person on the World Bank might send it faster to you than I will. But yeah, we'll send it to you. Yeah.
This hybrid PPA, the components would be renewable energy plus energy storage.
Exactly.
So that would be something like RE plus LDES, or it is regular power or fossil based plus LDES.
I think some of our thermal energy storage would say if you're using thermal in your CNI, it can become that. But I think the goal, because the cost savings is so much more renewable energy, that would be the preference.
Other nations would be like wind plus LDES or solar plus wind.
We have projects with floating solar, offshore wind, even a pumped hydro, electrochemical. So it's a really kind of a creative way, whatever they
It'd be
need.
interesting to get an idea of that hybrid PPAs.
Yep. And we have a report on 24/7 clean power purchase agreements that you can look at that too.
Yep.
One caveat is in there, we had a certificate program. We're not doing that. We just want to promote that there's a value added in 24/7.
Is it an open source or is it like a confidential document?
It's open source.
Okay.
We believe in really helping share a lot of information across rates. We also
Please do share this with us.
You got it. I'm more than happy. Okay.
I think Mr. Roy from Germany had something to say.
Oh yes. Oh, he did. Okay, I'll follow up.
I didn't have anything specific to say, but only question that I would like to ask Julia is, anywhere in the world, is this battery energy storage system, the cost of energy, is it comparable with the cost of energy of fossil fuels? See, until we reach that level of equivalence with the fossil fuels, changeover is going to be extremely difficult. So are there any examples that you know of?
Yes, great question. And we have in our reports a couple of examples where we're at parity with thermal energy storage replacing gas plants and pico plants today. We're seeing that in the mining industry, and we're seeing that in some of the areas in Europe. And then also we've been working in South Africa with all the amount of load shedding and the strong base of coal plants. And we're looking at the price points. There's a lot of gas in South Africa, so it's either coal to long duration energy storage. But it's we do have some numbers and cases I can share with you. And again, it goes to the market access and incentives.
We have Bhavesh from Tata,
Okay.
Tata Power. So they are going to have a gigafactory of battery?
Yeah,
They are building a gigafactory.
Fantastic.
So that's lithium ion.
lithium ion.
So they have better options. I mean, it's a decision of yours.
We need both. And there, as you know, lithium ion can do 8-hour plus, but it's just very expensive today. But I think, because it doesn't have the density that the long duration storage other types of minerals do. But it's something that many of the companies are working on. Does work. But the other element too is that, it's really the market criteria and the market element. So when we have the storage targets and we have that certainty, that also really can help bring down costs with the different kind of blended contracts for de-risking. and the warranty aspect. You can get warranties with LDES now because of the safety. But the LDES companies, the batteries don't catch on fire. So the joke is they put out other fires. But there's a lot of other safety aspects that also no one knows about that also adds to the cost savings and different benefits.
Thanks, Julia. Surbi, I see you got your hand up now. We clearly have more questions for you than you have for us, but we'll let you start.
Surbi Goyal.
Surbi Goyal.
Hi, thank you. My network is a bit patchy today, so please pardon me for that. I have been trying to connect over and again and again. So just a quick answer to what Mr. Vishwajit just asked about batteries. So leave apart, Dr. Roy, outside the country, if you look at Chhattisgarh, Rajnandgaon, there is a project, commissioned by SECI and with Tata Power, where batteries have been already installed with solar field, and these batteries actually are being utilized to shift the solar energy to the evening peak demand, where the state was buying power from fossil fuel based contracts earlier, or from the power markets, and were paying through the nose. And this is under 5 rupees. The final tariff petition is being filed, so we don't know the exact numbers, but it's quite competitive. So already we have an example. So a lot of learnings can come from that, as well as can be taken forward in other future projects. So just wanted to mention that specifically on the question that you raised, Dr. Roy. Thank you.
Thank you, Surabhi. Next time, whenever I'm in Delhi, I will look you up, try and find out more details. The reason that I had asked this question is because each time there is a conversion involved, there is a process, and every process will have its own efficiency. So if there are multiple processes that are getting involved in the entire scheme of storage, my guess is that there will be sufficient energy loss, and therefore how does it become competitive is something that I would like to know. Whenever I'm in Delhi, I will look you up, try and understand how the things.
Sure. Just a short answer to it, because now you left the questions. I would really like to put that to some, solution. The thing is that it all depends on which segments of the day you are looking for. So, for instance, when we're looking for evening peak demand, the power markets are touching 10, 12 rupees. And in that context, if you compare batteries with solar, it will make a sense. And that is what the pockets of demand you have to identify where a cost benefit analysis is favorable. So it's all business objective of that particular application. Yes.
Absolutely, I understand that. That I understand.
And you're more than welcome, of course. I would love to catch up with you once again.
Yeah. Sure.
And I will be in Delhi tomorrow and the rest of the weekend. We'd love to sit down and talk with you more, because we've been working on the excess solar and wind at zero cost. Using it later times of the day or the next following day is a huge savings. So I completely agree with you, and that's a great point. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Surbi. And is there anyone else who'd like to participate and ask more questions? Or can we wind this up? Well, I saw Rolf had to jump out for another call, but thanks everyone who stayed along.
Anybody over here who wish to? Tata, Adani, Reliance, SR, NHPC, NTPC, a lot of big players. You're still exploring things, or you don't want to speak about what you're doing?
And Reliance, who's here from Reliance?
I think there's somebody there from Reliance.
They're a member too.
HK Patel, yeah. Ask him if he's. Patel sir, are you there? I just got a message that you people are there.
Okay.
I think Gulati sir is also there.
Well, thank you very much for your questions and for just the honor to have the dialogue back and forth, just to learn so much about long duration storage and the partnership with green hydrogen. And we will follow up with sending some of our reports, additional case studies, and the contracts that we've done with the different templates that we have in existence. And then please know that this is just the beginning, and look forward to building a relationship to share more information and to really bring companies to India and have them become Indian strong partnerships and Indian led and India designed and owned and operated LDES. That would be phenomenal.
Right. So if there's not more questions, I think even if you have further questions once you get back to your companies or organizations, I think you can shoot your mail probably to us or to Julia or to Nishant, whichever is convenient to you. And apart from that, I would always suggest that this is just a beginning where we have just brought a cross exchange and dialogue of uh, how to explore on the pathway ahead of long duration energy storage. But I think we have got quite a long way to go because first thing is like a policy which is to be done, and second thing is what are the regulations would be or what kind of policy enhancements that we can bring in from Gujarat because we have the energy department also here. So these are things which we think we should think on this. So what I would request you is if you can prepare a white paper or a suggestive paper on what kind of policies we should take up on long duration energy storage and what has been done or case studies that has been done elsewhere, say in the US, the UK, Chile, or Australia that you had been talking in the morning. So that would help us also delve into such kind of regulations because even the private players or the market is not very clear on what kind of options to select, and if such an option is selected, what are the restrictions and what are the regulations, or in case of you want an access to the carbon markets, what are the access possibilities. So these things are still not clear, and I'm sure since you yourself told that even the United States or the European Commission has not come up with any policy framework, or these are all run by smaller corporations who are investing into LDES.
So that we need the governments to come up with the policy frameworks, and they have done storage targets and run and build
Yes.
build on their renewable energy. One thing that we're working on too, in addition to helping on the policy frameworks, is on the criteria for tenders.
Okay.
Make sure that there's when the tenders come out, they really can capture all the benefits so that there is the cost parity.
So just to intervene, for that we need to have a policy framework, have some targets that, like an RPO, like a renewable energy obligation, that these are the obligations that we need to have, and these are the targets that we need to achieve on energy storage. If we can mandate that based on existing case studies, and as you told that there are several corporations who are doing it on an off-grid scale. So how do we integrate with the grid so that we achieve peak time tariff or climate exchange tariffs? So we would require some kind of research and information from you, wherein we can take these discussions ahead. And I'm sure the energy department and our minister will also be happy to engage with you guys very soon. And we would also look for inputs from the industry so that it's not just the government to government, and we also want your inputs. Like we did a workshop on offshore wind, we would also try to on LDES in the coming days. So that will just open up the things we'll have. I'm sure we'll have more questions to come. And I think.
No, thank you very much. I think there's so much intent from your side not to adopt this.
LDRE tenders, they are having the provision of storage, but not under this name actually. It is being bidding being done on megawatt basis, not megawatt hour basis. But megawatt hour is going to be the necessary component of that.
Exactly.
GPCL has done 2 tenders on
We don't
megawatt
have a
hours.
separate tender named with this energy storage, but it is already inbuilt with FDRE tenders being reported, which are quite good in numbers.
Yes.
Here other entities.
I think we can do it together. We all can
There
do
are
it together.
standalone projects also which are been needed to support the grid system. And we have also installed such kind of the facilities over there to maintain the grid stability and to also to meet the requirement of the peak hours of kind of that. The battery storage usage is not only from the storage per se, but also to maintain the frequency and the quality
Stability.
of the power,
And
stability
inertia.
also, which is very much important.
Right.
No, very fair question, because what we didn't speak about today is what Indian research organizations are doing in this space, right? There are vanadium flow batteries being installed with the army in Sikkim. There's IIT Chennai that's looked at thermal storage, and they were actually talking to other government agencies in Gujarat to experiment on it. The only reason is there hasn't been enough awareness and there hasn't been a collective push. Like I said, policy is a great show of intent, right? And then comes targets. So if we can start working one by one, then we eventually get to this place. When it comes to where we can meet and what forums we can create, LDES and Julia, they're looking to have a more prominent and larger presence in India going forward. This week, we are having a set of meetings with different stakeholders within the government, within the industry in Delhi. But we're also having a roundtable on the Friday, the 5th, with the MNRE. It's going to be more conference-like. So if there are colleagues from your companies based out of Delhi, please invite them. We will send out the invitations later tonight or tomorrow. September, the government of Gujarat and the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, they're hosting the RE Investment Summit here in Gandhi Nagar. So they wanted Julia to come, but just not herself, but bring all the companies as well, right? So come here with, all of these technology providers from across the world, and we can have a, much more detailed discussion on what can be the next steps. And when it comes to individual corporates, there has been a lot of interest and intent already, right? Reliance is already a member of the LDES Council, and there's now intent from so many other bigger players as well. But going forward, I think when you look at energy security and when you look at safety, when compared to batteries, I think you need to look at other forms of, storage other than lithium ion. And this is where LDES can play a role. And of course, we do have pumped storage, and that has come into policy, right? It's one of the oldest technologies, but in the last 5 years, we've had such a surge in announced capacities only because we announced a scaling up of renewable energy installations. So we needed some sort of storage, and the only storage we knew was pumped hydro storage. So we went forward with that. But going forward, there are other alternatives being made available. And the key aspect in LDES is, even though it says storage in its name, its applications move towards increasing energy efficiency, reducing carbon emissions and offsets. But Julia, I'll pass it on again to you to have, if you want to share any closing remarks and, so if there's something else you want everyone to take away from this conversation, what would that be?
Three things. One, to say thank you very much for the interest in long duration storage and working together, because it is so critical to have that reliability 24/7, and round the clock power with renewable energy has this partnership with long duration storage. So we look forward to working with you on different technologies and have your leadership guide us. There is a project in Rajasthan that's working with Baker Hughes and an Indian company on batteries that is long duration that just got announced recently. So it's brand new that we can come back and follow up with. Look forward to following up with you in September on some additional case studies and some work that we could do on criteria changes to tenders. And then again, just, the deployment of renewables and the leadership here in the room. We look forward to being able to go to other countries and say, look at what India is doing, look at what Gujarat's doing on the advancements of round the clock power and the peak shifting and energy deployment of renewables 24/7 with LDES. So this is a great start to our partnership, and I look forward to continued questions and dialogue so we all continue to learn from each other. But thank you very, very much. Forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, everyone. And you know where to find us. We've shared most of our social links, but look forward to this roundtable with the MNRE on Friday. But I hope before September we'll have Julia join us online from whichever part of the world she is, for a much more focused discussion, and maybe we can have a focus on certain technologies only, or maybe we look at case studies from Chile.
And our team focuses on market creation and development, so we can also speak to specific markets and also on policy designs with various countries that we've been working with. And thank you for those on the phone. Appreciate your questions and your participation. And I'll hopefully see many of you in Delhi in the next couple of days.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.